Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Donald Trump, President Trump, does like him. He likes to take him some shots at the New York Times, the failing New York Times, and just never waste an opportunity to talk about how terrible they are, talk about how disingenuous they are. They love to claim themselves as the paper of record. Democracy dies in the darkness. That's the New York Times, right? I get them and the Washington Post confused because they're all the same. And every single thing that they write is just, it's so absolutely subjective, dripping with liberal bias. They obviously have their ideas that they want to promote, and they like work backwards into like, how do we want this story to fit our narrative? And I found actually the perfect example that just happened. They decided to write a hit piece about my recent H-1B visa investigation. The title of that was How the Visa Debate for Foreign Workers Fuels Racism Against South Asians. A dispute over the impact of H-1B visas on U.S. workers has been overshadowed by racist rhetoric with troubling echoes of the Great Replacement conspiracy theory. Remember, folks, don't believe your lying eyes. No, don't believe the fact that the Biden administration brought over millions upon millions upon millions of people in an open border and then, curiously enough, allowed them to, obtain driver's licenses and things that turns out would allow them to vote. Don't believe the fact that your communities are changing all around you. Don't believe that when you walk around your local Costco, you're the minority and nobody speaks your language. Don't believe any of that. It's just a conspiracy theory. It's not actually happening. Stop believing your lying eyes. Now, I would like to just point out in this, hit piece about my investigation, if the New York Times wants to take a swing at me, at least have the decency to name me. Why don't you at me, bro? Here's how they referenced my work. In Frisco, the tensions over H-1B were heightened by a conservative content creator who recently posted a much-watched video in which she made claims about possible H-1B fraud in the area. Shortly afterward, Governor Greg Abbott, a Republican, you got to add that in there, ordered a pause on H-1B hiring at public universities and Texas agencies. Ken Paxton, the state's attorney general who is running for senator, announced an investigation into 3 businesses accused of fraud in the video. Now, I would just like to point out a couple quick things. The fact that they don't want to name me because they don't want to give my expose more exposure. The much-watched video, they couldn't even say like millions of people watched it. A much-watched video in which she made claims about possible H-1B fraud in the area. And then they mentioned Ken Paxton announced an investigation into 3 businesses accused of fraud in the video, which I don't believe that's what his memo said. Like they didn't say exactly what the businesses were, nor did they say they were the exact businesses in my video. So they've got all of that entirely wrong. But listen, it's glass half full for me today. I will say it's always a good day when you find out the New York Times has written a hit piece about your work. You're over the target if the New York Times sees that you did something that is so good, that is so truthful and well done and important that they don't want to name you. Because if they said Sara Gonzales actually posted this crazy expose, people might be able to watch it. And then if they watched it, they might stop being on the New York Times side because they'd see the truth, which is right in front of them. So it's a good day for me. It's a good day for me. Now, of course, being that they are libtarded, their only defense against any of this, their only defense is like, actually, let me tell you why you having a problem with H-1B fraud is racist. You're the racist. You're the xenophobe. So, of course, that's what they're going to do. But I would just like to say, hey, New York Times, if you actually wanted to do your job and investigate this visa fraud, which is the real problem here, you could have picked up the phone to call me. I'm literally right here, Monday through Friday, every day. I'm here. I'm happy to answer any of your questions. I checked my inbox right before I came in here to tape this show, and I double, triple searched, and I didn't see anyone from the New York Times requesting any information, requesting any sort of comment, requesting any of my receipts. Instead, they just wanted to make this an issue about, they're not interested in seeking truth. They're not interested in seeking facts. They just want to make this about race because then they can turn their eye from what is actually going on. So now we're supposed to hear about how this is a big sob story for Indian people. They talked about the Frisco City Council meeting from earlier this month. There were a bunch of citizens who came to raise their concerns about fraud and other issues within the community. Now, the floor was open at a regular city council meeting in Frisco, Texas. Now, here's where the New York Times, this is sad. These poor Indians coming over here scamming people. This is sad. Okay, the floor was open at a regular city council meeting in Frisco, Texas, and several speakers riled by a recent viral video over visas for specialized foreign workers wanted to make their views known. They did not mince words about the program. Okay, hold on. Time out for a second. We're going to take a time out. They're actually unknowingly kind of making my point stronger here. They're actually demonstrating the point. The visas are for specialized foreign workers. They're supposed to be for very, very specialized foreign workers for a very specific skill set that we can't find here. It's just the problem is that what that translates into is like elementary school teachers and food service managers and caterers and all sorts of random occupations that you don't even actually need a degree to do. So thank you for proving my point that it's a problem if the visas are being used for anything other than very, very specialized talent that we can't find here. Okay, I'll continue. The visa, called H-1B, had led to an Indian takeover of the city. That's what these people said, according to the New York Times. The program, some said without citing proof, was full of fraudsters. Got to include they're not really fraudsters. They're just being accused of fraudsters. They're full of fraudsters and low quality scammers. They didn't cite the proof. They didn't bring my video into the city council meeting and press play so that for 3 minutes they could play some of my 20-minute video. Like, what? They didn't cite proof? The proof is all there. Hey, NYT, if you're so desperate for the proof, just email me. Pick up the phone and call me. DM me. I'm happy to give you my phone number. I would love to give you more information. You guys are the paper of record, right? You guys consider yourselves real journalists. I'm a journalist. According to the New York Times, they take themselves very seriously. So if you guys are the only people who are credible here, you should want to do this investigation, shouldn't you? I am eating, sleeping, and breathing this stuff. I've got so much evidence. In fact, I could really use your help. Like, my producer and I are drowning in all of this evidence. Steven, what am I doing literally every single evening?
Yeah, you're swamped in this. She's dead on.
I'm on the couch with my laptop. Steven's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "We're getting the H-1Bs out of here, babe. That's what I'm doing. I'm on a mission. The H-1Bs got to go. The ones who committed all of this fraud and all of this scam. And by the way, the majority of it I'm finding is the scam and the fraud and the shell companies and all of that. I've got all the documentation. You should see our Google document, New York Times. You should see the number of pages in our Google document. It is extensive. It is, really, really big. Maybe call me. You could check that out. We could use your help. But no, you don't actually want to help. You just want to throw shade at these people and highlight sob story after sob story. Okay, so the American people are getting scammed. They're getting scammed out of jobs and homes and resources and all. Like, we are getting scammed. But let me explain to you why you should feel sorry for the Indians who are scamming you. So they go on. At the recent city council meeting, residents of South Asian descent also lined up to speak. Any H-1B fraud, they all agreed, should be rooted out. Many, though, also had a sense of bewilderment. Like so many other legal immigrants, they've suddenly found themselves in a more hostile and unwelcoming environment. They pointed out that they had immigrated here legally, followed the rules, contributed to the economy, and pitched in to the community. Well, here's the thing. If you are, in fact, a legal immigrant, you followed all the rules, you contribute to the economy, you pitch into the community, not to change it to what you want it to be, but how it already was because you're assimilating, you have nothing to worry about. You have nothing to worry about, actually, because that's another thing the New York Times didn't really want to point out. They didn't feel like, I don't know, doing basic levels of journalism to point out that it's not just white people calling this out. This isn't a race thing. This isn't like all the whiteys who are like, ew, we don't like, ew, your hue is a little off. We don't like that. Ew, ick. No, thank you. It's not just white people calling this out. I might have had more people of South Asian or Indian descent reach out to me and tell me what I'm doing is right. By the way, I can't go around this Metroplex anymore without someone like, I'm at a, I don't want to give anything away. I'm at a staple of Indian culture where you will find many of them at any given point. And I'm being recognized. And they're not saying, get that woman out. They're saying, I actually really appreciate, I'm a big fan. I really appreciate your work, because they're affected by the fraud also. What happens when you come in here? It's a non-immigrant visa for a reason. Now they're exploiting that, but it's a non-immigrant visa for a reason. They're exploiting it. They're coming in, they're staying, they're trying to get their green card, they're getting their green card, then they're becoming naturalized. And the people who are doing it the right way understand that now, as an American citizen, this affects them poorly too. This affects them negatively too. And I want to play a conversation that I had with someone who recognized me and came up to me and told me, hey, great work, you're onto something here, in one of these places. This is a man of South Asian descent. I'm not going to show him to protect his identity, but here's what he had to say.
You know how all these things works, right? How the people do scams, right? Mm-hmm. And so there are lots of these basic consulting company, the IT consulting company, how they work, mm-hmm. how they scam, right? Mm-hmm. They, how they hire the people, they. The first Indian student, they come, they give mm-hmm. a 1 month of training from India, and there's a proxy guy who did the proxy and you fake 780 resume, and mm-hmm. they get the job, right? So H-1B is another level of scamming. But with you blown out everything, all the, rat, when they see the cat, right? Yeah. All they are going down the hole.
Yeah, right? They all scatter.
I served in the U.S. Army. I did
great. Thank you for your service. Yeah,
I'm a naturalized U.S. citizen.
Yeah,
right?
Great.
I did all the hard works
mm-hmm.
to come
mm-hmm.
to get a job.
Exactly right.
But at the same, even in my company also, right? The Indian manager, like, they don't want to hire the U.S.
Exactly.
To be honest, man.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to kick me out from my team so they can bring colleagues.
There. Yep.
And they can get their cuts, right?
Right.
And so they start making feel bad about you. And they say, oh, your English is not good. You are not performing. You have to be like B6, B7, B8 Indian. Like, you have to perform more. Why? I'm a human being. I'm not
right.
a machine, right?
Right, right.
So too many things. Yeah, so H-1B is the next level of the scamming going on. And they usually get more money from the guy in India.
Yeah.
Like, if they have like 40, 50 lakhs. Like 1 lakh is like 100 grand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So,
jeez.
That's how they come, they do, and once coming over there, they put on different things. Like, for sure, if you scratch dig more and more, mm-hmm. you're gonna find a lot.
This isn't a racial thing. Like, I just wish New York Times would have picked up the phone and called me. I could have pointed them in the direction of this man and so many others. I could have pointed them in the direction of a guy with a business not too far from here who literally did everything the right way and is now super supportive of all of our investigations. He's like rooting us on. We go to visit him sometimes when we're doing these investigations, and he's like, what'd you find next? I'm so happy with what you're doing. It's not about race. If you're not doing anything wrong, you understand the problem. Okay? Now, I also found this part of the story pretty funny, is this Heather Bunting, 43-year-old Frisco resident, has watched all this unfold with mixed feelings. Growing up in the area, she has seen the city rapidly grow and appreciates the opportunity to learn about Indian traditions. Last fall, her family attended a neighborhood Diwali event. She said, floating boats with candles on the community pond. I was telling my kids, it's kind of Christian. Like, we're trying to spread the light, she recalled. Oh, is it? But over the last few years, her husband, who works at a telecommunications company, has seen his older white colleagues leave and more Indian H-1B workers hired, kind of like what we're saying is happening. And persistent rumors of restructuring make her increasingly worried about her husband's job. Okay? So what I'm saying tracks. Okay, cool. Show me the lie. There is none. She's also worried about her son's schooling, which has become, she said, more competitive with Indian families signing up for tutoring in school on Saturdays. Around 45% of students at the city's public schools are Asian, up from 13% more than a decade ago. Now, despite all of this, so despite this woman having her husband, I don't know, he might be out of a job, despite the fact that her kids can't actually, excel at education, and despite the fact that 45% of the students are like, your kid is almost in the minority, she resisted casting blame on an entire community. She resisted. Now, that's a lot to unpack, but I would just like to say, the New York Times, you can track down this random woman. Rando Frisco resident has all of this to say about you can track down this random woman, but not me. Right? Second, I don't think it's Christian to participate in Hindu festivals. Nope, I don't think so. I think it's the opposite, actually. So she's going through explaining all of the things that I'm already saying. These people are coming here. They're not assimilating. They're kicking you guys out. And she's like, but it's not their fault. Other than the fact that they're doing it all, it's not their fault. It's not their fault. By the way, when you read this entire story, which I don't recommend doing, I read it so you don't have to, the audacity of Frisco's mayor said many of the speakers were outside agitators who did not represent the majority of residents. Well, yeah, first of all, that's because the majority of residents are Indian. That's what you guys have done. So, no, they don't represent the majority of residents. That was by design. But by the way, I can't speak for them. I don't know whether they were outside agitators or not, but I'm here. I live here. I'm a born and raised native Texan. I'm a resident. I am native, and I care. Okay? This is my issue that I care about as a native resident. I'm not an outside agitator. I live here. And it's not a race issue. I don't care if you're Indian, Chinese, white, brown, purple, whatever. If you're committing immigration fraud, you're going to be exposed. If you're committing immigration fraud, you should be deported. And by the way, thank the Lord we have President Trump, because you know who agrees with me? Him. He just came out with a new threat to all of these scammers and fraudsters. Whether you're Somalian, whether you're Indian, again, doesn't matter where you come from, doesn't matter what color your skin are. If you have come here with intention to fraud the system, to defraud us, You should go. You should go. Here's President Trump.
We're also going to revoke the citizenship of any naturalized immigrant from Somalia or anywhere else who is convicted of defrauding our citizens. We're going to get them the hell out of here fast.
That is heartening. Okay, that is very heartening because they come in on a visa, they get the green card, they become naturalized, they can participate in elections. I mean, the way that this all unfolds is so unbelievably corrupt. We have to have all options on the table. We have to be able to denaturalize and deport these people. You got to go. Bye-bye. By the way, never come back. We don't want you here. Make sure that you subscribe to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Smash the like button and comment. It'll help us out in the algorithm, which we all know is stacked against us. By the way, on that algorithm note, make sure you go over to Sara Gonzales TX. Sara Gonzales TX is where we are releasing a lot of this exclusive H-1B expose content. So go find that over there. Make sure you subscribe. And I want to thank our sponsor of this segment, MDHearing. So MDHearing, I love MDHearing because I didn't realize until someone in my family suffered from hearing loss and got the test done and was like, yeah, you need hearing aids. Oh, by the way, it's like a couple $1,000s just to be able to hear again. I was like, what? That's absurd. People can't afford that. And what MDHearing has done is they've decided, hey, maybe people should be given an affordable, high-quality, rechargeable hearing aid. And they're doing it for $297 a pair. That's over 90% less than traditional clinic hearing aids. So their new Neo model fits inside the ear. It's nearly invisible. No one's going to, it's not a giant thing anymore. It's all the way in there. No one's going to know. It's very discreet. They have a Neo XS that's the smallest hearing aid that they have ever been able to sell. Every purchase comes with a 60-day trial, 100% money-back guarantee. They've sold over 2 million. They must be doing something right. All right. Get big savings with a tiny hearing aid from MDHearing. You can go to shopmdhearing.com. Use promo code Sarah to get that pair of hearing aids for $297. What's that you said, Sarah? Huh? It's MDHearing. ShopMDHearing.com. Promo code Sarah to get that. Plus, you're going to get a free extra charging case, $100 value just for listeners of Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Listeners, get it. ShopMDHearing.com. Use promo code Sarah. It gives me no pleasure to inform you that once again, in a case of strange deja vu, we have a story about another deranged trans person who carried out another shooting. 2 people were killed, 3 others injured during a youth hockey game in Rhode Island. The dude, it's coming as no surprise, also killed himself. Here is some of the footage from that event. So, a lot of shots fired, and one of the bystanders actually grabs him, which was incredible, to try to prevent him from harming more people. Really scary situation. Now, this time, at least, this is in Canada, and the police didn't try to protect the, we might hurt the dead trans person, mentally ill person's feelings. We don't want to dead name them. They were like, yeah, it's trans.
Can you confirm whether the suspect's a male, female? We've heard that it's a transgender person. Is that something that you have in terms of information?
So what I can say right now that we have identified the person, the suspect, by a birth name. The birth name was Robert Dorgan. We have also learned that the person does go by the name of Roberta, also uses a last name of Esposito.
So apparently you can change nationalities too. You can just flip from white to Latino, I guess. So he looks about how you would expect. Very beautiful, gorgeous, feminine dude. Roberta Esposito. Now, you're going to be shocked to hear this. History of family disputes. Yep. Turns out they're not all there. And that causes problems. He went through gender reassignment surgery in 2020. Also of note that the 2 victims who were killed were his ex-wife and their son. And one of the surviving children came and as they were leaving, she was leaving the police department, spoke briefly to reporters in transit after the shooting. Here's what she said.
My father was a shooter.
What happened?
Shot my family. And he's dead now.
What was the reasoning? Was there a family argument?
He has mental health issues.
I would say so. I would say so. And by the way, like I'm not trying to make light of this at all. I would freaking say so. And it wasn't the family's fault. And now that family have 2 family members who will never come back because we decided as a society to pretend like we shouldn't treat clear mental illness and delusion. Like we should just enable it. It's the only mental health condition, by the way. It's the only issue that people like, if you have an alcoholic, people are like, you should stop drinking. If you have a schizophrenic, they're like, we need to get you help because what you're doing is not normal. You have a dude who wants to cut his dick off and you're like, very brave, actually. Yes, you are in fact a woman. Look how womanly you look. Like when are we going to decide that enough is enough? When are we going to decide? Here's a headline. Gender identity tied to past family disputes, court records show. Apparently, he lived with his father-in-law, and I don't know why, but after he went through gender reassignment surgery, the father-in-law decided, you're not going to live here. He tried to kick him out, and Dorgan told police that his father-in-law used a derogatory term for transgender individuals to say that no such person was going to stay in my house. Also going to be shocked to hear this was the reason for his divorce. Robert Dorgan's ex-wife initially filed for divorce on the grounds of gender reassignment surgery, narcissistic and personality disorder traits, which was later amended to irreconcilable differences. And by the way, he was very, very active on Twitter. He actually sent a lot of tweets to my friend Alex Stein for all of his work in, trying to, what he was creating was satire, but to prove the point that we should not be enabling this delusion. And it's just very strange because the day before the shooting, he went into Tim McBride's, Twitter responses, and he said on Kevin Sorbo's tweet, Tim McBride is a man. Community note this if I'm wrong. He responded, this man who went on to kill his family, keep bashing us, but do not wonder why we go berserk. Said it again to Alex Jones. STFU, Alex, don't be so butthurt over somebody different, then wonder why trans people go effing berserk. Go F your mother. This is the inherent problem. They say, you must accept my mental illness. You must accept my mental illness. And by the way, if you don't, I'm going to go berserk on you and kill you. Which makes this old magazine cover just a little concerning. As the Trump administration attacks trans people, some queer folks are armed and ready to bash back. Are you triggered? Yeah, I am, actually. I think it's a little scary to give someone with a clear mental health illness a gun. Yeah, you got me. Yes, I am a little nervous now that I saw that. All right, you're not going to want to miss my next guest when we return. But first, I want to thank our sponsor, VanMan. So listen, I don't know when skincare turned into a chemistry experiment, but if you read the ingredient list on most eye creams, it's a lot of stuff you're not going to be able to pronounce. And who knows if it even works. That's why I was really intrigued with what VanMan is doing with their Pearl eye cream. It's grass-fed tallow, and they combine it with wild-caught pearl powder, one of nature's most nutrient-dense ingredients for supporting healthy skin around the eyes. Emu and castor oil, royal jelly, organic green tea, all the good stuff. And it actually works. They've also got some other things as well. That they've got like tallow lip balm that I really love. I have loved all of the products that I have used from VanMan, and you know that it's Maha friendly. So give your eyes the care they actually deserve. You can go to vanman.shop/Gonzales. Use code Gonzales for 15% off of your order. That is vanman.shop/Gonzales. Use code Gonzales for 15% off of your first order. VanMan, real ingredients, no exceptions. I've only briefly mentioned this story because it's still kind of developing every day, it seems. But it's just, I want to talk about it. It's one of the weirdest cases I can recall seeing, the missing persons case of Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Savannah Guthrie, from the Today Show. She went missing on the 1st of February. Police say that there was foul play involved. They found, blood at the scene. You had footage of the suspect that they took him a while to find, which was also strange, tampering with the Nest doorbell camera. You see there with the glove on, and obviously trying very hard to conceal his identity there. President Trump has been supporting the investigation, although he has made clear he's not like a huge fan of Savannah Guthrie, as he does in only the way that Trump can communicate. But he said that he was threatening the kidnappers with the death penalty if Nancy Guthrie was not returned alive. And I'm not an expert in this, so I decided to bring on an expert in this. Jonathan Gilliam is a former Navy SEAL, FBI special agent, and federal air marshal. He's also the author of the best-selling book, Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival, along with its 2 other workbooks. Thank you for joining me.
Good to be here.
Am I wrong that it's just such a strange situation?
There's a lot that's very strange.
Everything about it.
I really want you all, I'd love to see Glenn Beck dive into these cameras, the Nest camera. Just to start off with that, first of all, the Nest camera, Ring cameras, the same, had a commercial at the Super Bowl. And this stuff is being recorded and stored even if you don't subscribe.
Right.
I think that's probably one of the biggest stories that will come out of this once it's all solved, if media wants to cover this. That alone, I think, it shocked me. Now, when you look at everything else, the way the sheriff handles this, he falls in a long line of succession of sheriffs and chiefs of police that have terrible, terrible press conferences and then seem to know nothing about leading task forces, Right. So it's kind of been that way from the beginning with this individual and with this sheriff. He said things, and then a week later he says another thing. It's totally opposite from it. Yesterday he said that the family was cleared, yet there's no known suspect. There's suspects, I guess, now, but no, he hasn't identified or proven guilt of anyone, so I don't know how he can rule them out.
Right.
It's an emotional statement, not a statement of fact. The biggest one I saw today, though, was that in Savannah Guthrie's book, and she reads it, an audiobook, she talks about a game that she used to play with her aunt, that her mother's sister, who's much older than she is, but she would come and kidnap them when they were young kids. She would work it out with the mom, but she would come and get them out of bed and then say, come on, we're going to make a run for it. And they would go, and then like an hour later, 30 minutes later, they would call the mom and say, we're alive, we're okay, and the mom would play along with it.
What?
That is in the book. I actually heard it today.
That's so weird.
What? Weird coincidence there. And another reason why I would not rule the family out. I can understand kind of why the sheriff would say that maybe we shouldn't be, maybe we should tone back the rhetoric against the family because they could be targeted by crazy people. But for him to say that it's his job to speak for the family, that's not his job. That is not his job. Is to be running that investigation.
Right.
But I did a case study or I went through certain courses when I was in the FBI for statement analysis, and one of the cases that we talked about was a woman who had 14 personalities, and she and her sister were both abused and went through the same abuse. Their mom would do things like put them in scalding water when they were bad in the bathtub. She grew up and developed all these personalities. Her sister grew up hating her mom. So it just goes to show you, there could be 2 good kids in that family and 1 crazy kid, or their kid could be crazy. But the fact that story was in there was very, very strange to me.
That is bizarre. I hadn't even heard that. And then you add on top of that I don't know how I would ever react if someone kidnapped my mom and we were looking for her, but it feels weird to put yourself on social media and selfie videos. Everyone's already talking about it. I don't know why you need to tell people hey, let us know if you see anything. Right. It's already wall-to-wall coverage of it. That part was weird to me. And again, I'm not trying to victim shame or anything if this in fact was just some random kidnapper and they're really upset. But the crypto stuff where there's a ransom note.
That I think is an evolution of crime. I think you're going to see that more, not necessarily kidnapping. Kidnappings happen all the time.
Sure.
They just don't happen here that much. Usually here in the United States, it's parental kidnapping of their child because they're in a bad custody case. But a lot of kidnappings happen in Mexico that use Bitcoin all the time, but there's two-way conversation. It's very aggressive because they want people to know that the person is in grave danger and they want to force people to pay. You didn't see any of that. You just saw some emails with some kindness saying, she's in distress and she knows what's going on. That sounds like a scam from India or Nigeria where they do these economic scams all the time. The wording wasn't correct. There was no two-way communication. But another thing this is my theory that I put out today was that Harvey Levin has gotten 4 emails from somebody that says they saw, right?
Right. And they want money too.
Anybody who has an online presence knows that crazy people will write you emails and say, I know this, or I have the power of discernment, and this and that.
Sure.
But this person said something very interesting. And I've been saying all along that I don't rule any possibility out. And one of those possibilities is that it was a burglary gone wrong. Mm-hmm. And I've had other experts argue and say he had a full backpack. He could have had 20 bags inside that backpack that he was going to fill full of stuff. I don't know.
Sure.
She could have woken up right after he got in the home and he could have injured her or killed her and then sat for 40 minutes trying to figure out what to do. Mm-hmm. But the guy who's writing Harvey Levin said something in the last email that he's afraid to come forward because he has a record because he had been incarcerated for burglary before. So I've been putting this out 20% of the time, more or less, the people who call in a homicide are the people who committed it. So I could see this person having done that crime, and we saw in the film footage that calm enough to get in the home, stupid enough to go and do the things with the weeds and all that stuff that he did, and then to throw his glove away within 2 miles of the home. So could this person writing these emails, trying to get some money, actually be the person who took Nancy out, not for a ransom, but because something occurred, he wanted to get her out of there and stashed her, or maybe could be alive, but, and then now he's writing, trying to get them to pay money so he can say, oh, yeah, she's in Mexico.
Right.
So I hope that the investigators are looking at these things, because if you go do a case study by watching 48 Hours Mysteries, it's been on for like 30 years, you will see that vast majority of these people that are killed are done by their families, but you cannot rule out any possibility until you find the person that did it.
Yeah, that's a great point. And again, I don't want to victim shame anyone. I can't imagine being in that position, but I did see the investigators were still, weeks later, they go back to the sister's house and they're taking pictures inside the sister's house. And then you're like, what? And then they set up that tent at one point, the white.
More stuff in there, yeah.
Yeah. So it does. I mean, I know you mentioned 48 hours. I used to watch the first 48 all the time. Yeah. And, they tell you the first 48 hours are the most crucial of the investigation. And it's been so many weeks now. This woman was on medication to keep her alive, they say, that she didn't take. What does your gut tell you? Obviously, you don't know, you're not a psychic, but what does your gut tell you whether or not she's still alive?
Well, I would say the possibility is she's alive is still there, and they need to treat the investigation as such. Mm-hmm. But I would say statistically, and looking at her age and her health and the fact that she was bleeding or she was dropping blood. See, if you're injured and your heart's still pumping, you're going to be bleeding. But if you were injured and you're now dead, your heart is no longer pumping. So blood may drop, but it's not going to be, you're not bleeding profusely. So it could have been that she was already deceased and he moved her, and that's why you see droplets versus, blood dripping in a stream of blood. So I would say that in all likelihood, she may not be alive, but the investigation has to be treated as though she is. And that's probably why you see the hostage rescue team there. Yeah. Because especially if she's over the border, they found out, they're going to deploy and they're going to do what they can to rescue her. So people that did this, if it was a kidnapping, they should be fully aware of what they're going to reap. They've sowed something really bad.
Yeah. It sounds to me like they need to hire you to come
They would. That'd be great.
come help them. Jonathan Gilliam, thank you so much for your expertise and time. Make sure you check out this guy knows what he's talking about. Okay, so check out his book, Sheep No More, The Art of Awareness and Attack Survival, along with the official workbooks that you see there, available wherever books are sold. Come back soon.
I will.
Thank you. All right, we'll be right back. Joining me now is my friend Aaron Reitz. He is running to be the next Attorney General of Texas. Big shoes to fill.
Big shoes.
Huge shoes to fill. You worked previously under Ken Paxton. Also, you worked for the Trump administration as well.
That's right. Yeah. Well, look, they are big shoes to fill. But this is why Paxton, in spite of having his own race to run, felt that it was important to tap a successor. And that happens to be me. And in his endorsement statement, he said, Aaron Reitz is the only qualified attorney that I would trust to pass these keys down to. So I'm very aware that there are big shoes to fill, but my record leading legal troops into legal combat to deliver legal victories for our values are second to none, especially to this field, very weak field. So we're kicking some butt. We're having a good time.
You're taking the Trump approach of just like, you're just very weak field. Many people are saying it. Many such cases.
Everybody's saying it. I don't know. Look, we're having fun, right? I mean, this is the thing: is why do anything if you're having fun? I love this. We're having a great time on the campaign trail. We're raising huge amounts of money, raising it from more individual donors than all three of my opponents combined times two.
Really?
Yes, I have outraised my opponents in terms of dollars by orders of magnitude. Each one of them raised more money. And if you combine each of the individual donors of my three opponents, combine them, double it, I've raised more from that money, from more individual donors.
Holy cow.
Look,
I had no idea.
There is an electricity that is around this campaign. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I think that Texans when they see their next attorney general, they know who it is. They may not be able to articulate it, but they see somebody like me who President Trump called a true MAGA attorney and a warrior for the Constitution. They see somebody who's endorsed by Paxton. They see somebody who has clerked on the Texas Supreme Court, Cruz's chief of staff. They see somebody who even before I was a lawyer was an officer in the Marine Corps, an Afghanistan war veteran. And they say, okay, we haven't had to choose in an open primary our chief legal officer for over a decade, right? It's been Paxton for 12 years. And so now the grassroots are saying, okay, wait a second, I want to think really critically about this. And they're reminded of Article 4, Section 22 of the Texas Constitution, which says the Attorney General shall represent the state of Texas in all courts and pleas. This is a legal, law enforcement, executive branch job. It's not a legislative job. And so my opponents, many are saying very weak field. I don't know. I've heard it many times. Many headlines are saying this. They're running on their legislative record. Oh, I introduced this bill, this amendment, and so forth. And I think that's great if you're running for re-election to the legislature. But this is a different sport entirely, right? What happened when Michael Jordan tried to play baseball? It didn't work out so well for him, right? Yeah. He's still an athlete, but when he transitioned from a sport in which he was, an undisputed champion to try something else, it was a disaster. My concern is if it's any three of my opponents, we're going to take huge steps backwards. We're going to take our foot off the gas. We're going to fumble the ball. It's not going to be good. And so we need a proven, tested, vetted litigation champion, someone who's litigated, appealed, defended, sued, investigated, and won on all the major issues that we conservative Republicans care about. And that's me.
I will say this, Aaron. Earlier in the show, I talked about the New York Times. I'm not sure if you saw, they did like this hit piece on my H-1B investigation. Refused to name me. They said a conservative content creator made this video that sparked she claims that there's fraud going on. They refused to call me out by name, but they called you out, Aaron.
They called me out.
They did. They said Aaron Reitz, a Republican candidate for Texas Attorney General, wrote on X that the state's counties may soon be renamed Calcutta, Delhi, and Hyderabad counties, given how bad the invasion of unassimilated and unassimilable Indians has become.
This is the first time I'm hearing this. Okay, this is the first time I'm hearing this. This is breaking news on the Sara Gonzales Show. That's incredible. I'm sorry that they didn't name you. They didn't want to give you any more huge clout than you already have right now.
Yeah.
But it's true. Look, you as an investigative reporter exposed something that, by the way, is likely orders of magnitude bigger than any Somalian quality Leering Center fraud.
For sure.
Yeah. And that, by the way, that's not just because like Texas is uniquely negligent with these things. It's because of the size of our economy and the population size. I mean, if you compare the population size and the influx of H-1B visa immigrants into Texas, right? And you balance that against the size of our economy and economic activity, the amount of money that's flowing versus Minnesota and the Somalian community.
Yeah.
Gosh, if it's bad with the quality Leering centers, it's 100 times worse here in Texas. And you were the one that blew the lid off of that. And now we have Ken Paxton, who's partnering with you to launch a multi-pronged investigation that I expect will result in litigation. That litigation and a growing net of investigations is going to get passed down to the next Attorney General. It's why having continuity to Paxton's endorsed successor is so critical. And so what I put out on X that I'm hearing for the first time has been covered in the New York Times. Yeah, absolutely. There is a huge risk that our counties become unrecognizable. They already are in some areas, right? They already are.
They are, yeah.
And we got to stop and reverse that.
Yeah. I do notice, though, Aaron, they said Mr. Reitz did not respond to a request for comment. Did they even send one? That's what I want to know.
I'm going to be talking to my staff offline.
You should check.
Yeah.
You should see if that came through, because I bet it didn't.
I bet it didn't. And I'm a little bit disappointed because I would have given them something even spicier to chew on, I think.
Well, you can tell them now if you'd like.
Well, look, I'm going to do exactly what I said I would do. Am I looking directly into the camera? New York Times. Not only am I going to do what I said I'm going to do, now that you've called me out for it, I'm going to do it 100 times harder. So get ready for the fun.
Tell everyone where they can find more about your campaign.
Well, folks can go to my website, aaronreitz.com, AARONREITZ.com. Today, as I'm talking to you, Sarah, happens to be the very first day of early voting, February 17th. Early voting goes from February 17 to 27. Election day is on March 3rd. The most important thing your viewers can do is go to the polls, vote Aaron Reitz for Attorney General, Aaron Reitz for Attorney General, Aaron Reitz for Attorney General, to succeed the great Ken Paxton so we can solve all these problems that you've done a hand in exposing in Texas.
I appreciate that very much. I will also say, just for the viewers, just for the record, I realized today is, as Aaron pointed out, the first day of early voting. I have heard from my sources. I was at this Sharia roundtable conference, and I have heard from some of the people who are in the know that turnout is very low today. So you got to make sure, unless you'd like, Democrats to take over, we got to make sure to be participating. You can't rely on your neighbor to, my neighbors are going to vote. It's fine. I don't actually have to take the time to do it. No, we need everyone's voice in this.
Don't get complacent. Get out there and vote. Aaron Reitz for Attorney General.
Aaron, I appreciate you. You're one of a one honestly.
Thanks. Many people are saying.
Many such cases. I know you've got a debate tonight, so I will be rewatching that.
Good.
I've got some stuff going on, but I can't wait to watch that. It's going to be, I think, pretty spicy. It's going to get pretty spicy. Just don't throw hands.
I might. We'll see. You have to tune in to see.
Yeah, you'll have to tune in. Everyone make sure to tune in. All right, Aaron, thank you so much.
Thanks, Sarah, for having me.
And that's it for us. We'll see you guys tomorrow.